Hello, it's time now to look at some cool stuff that we can do with Python in R in the command line in Jupyter Notebooks for GIS mapping. And I'm just learning this now, and I'm so excited to share it with you because I think it's really cool. So here in our course, I have put in the data for R for mapping, I've put 2 Python scripts that I worked out with ChatGPT, and they're pretty good. They seem to work. So the first one is a map of Morocco, and you will see that if we go in, because this is a Python script, so I'm going to actually download this, because if you copy and paste, you might get some extraneous figures in here that mess things up. So I'm going to open this up by showing it in the folder, and then I'm going to open it in Notepad. That's a good way to do it. And then copy it all. And then if I take this script and I go into R, and I go to make a new Python script right there. You can see the little Python symbol there. And I paste it in there. Then I can just run it in R as if it's Python. And what this is going to do, if it doesn't mess up, so wait for it, it's going to take this data, Casablanca, Rabat, Marrakesh, that has latitude and longitude, or rather longitude and latitude, and it's supposed to display it somewhere. Maybe it hasn't shown up yet. Okay, that's not good. It's not giving us any error messages. Yes, it has. It says Python reticulate needs to be in there. So there's another way to do this, and that's to call the file here by loading the reticulate library. And I won't run the rest of this. I'll just load reticulate and do the Python. I'm not going to do the source here, so let me just run this for a second, see if this helps. And then let's try this again. And then supposedly fixing project conflicts by resetting the environment. And I might just get egg on my face with this. So let me try another way of doing this. Let me go to Jupyter Notebook. And that's not supposed to take this long to happen. All right, so clearly something's going on here. There it goes, finally. It's enabling it. And it's enabling. All right, so now I get a Jupyter Notebook. And if I take that and I make a new reticulate Python cell, I can't imagine why this is taking so long. Let's get rid of Discord here. Then when I paste that script in, when I hit Shift and Enter to run it, it's supposed to show me something. And it sure ain't showing me anything. So this is bizarre. All right. Very, very strange. Let me try the other file that I have, because this is messing with my head. So if I go back out and go to my other one, import CSV, and there that one is. And if I download it, there it is there. And I can open this, show it in the folder. And there it is there. And let me open with Notepad. And let me select that. Let's go back into R. Let me open up a new R script. yeah, not an R script, rather a Python script. Paste that in. This is supposed to then read a file on my computer that has a CSV file that has my data on it, and it's supposed to make a web browser version of it. So select it all and run it, and you see all of nothing happening. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. It's supposed to happen, and nothing's happening. Similarly, if I make a new notebook here, and I run it here, and then run, that one worked. All right, so this one now has all of my points that were in my CSV file, and you can click on them and you can see each of them. So that one is exactly what we wanted. The Outreach Women's Cooperative is there, cemetery is there. So it has overlaid my data, which was in my CSV file, which you can see from this load. And my recent documents open. It's not in documents. It's not there. It's in a folder called climate, and then RStudio, and then it is HAF. So it's this one here. This is my data from the High Atlas Foundation, different villages in Morocco, and this is what I'm able to bring into the Python script. But I'm only looking right now at the village names that are here. That's the data that we put in, not the polygons, not the lines. So I'm still working on how to get the WKT information in. Appears like having empty fields causes a problem, but I have latitude and longitude for all of the different villages, and so the Python script is pulling the name of the village and it's pulling in the latitude and longitude, so that when you look at the actual script, it's saying that it is going to first import pandas as a whatever PD stands for, a project data or something, then import folium, then import the web browser, and it's going to read the CSV data from that path to that CSV file that you see here. And then it is going to create a base map using a folium.Map, and then it is going to add tiles for OpenStreetMap, Stamen if we have it, and we don't, CartoDB. So it's supposed to enable you to switch between different maps. I'm not sure that it's going to do that. And then add the Google satellite map, and I have my API key. So that's what it's using. And then it's then adding the markers for the villages, and it's pulling out the latitude and longitude, and it's pulling out the name row village. And then it's saving and opening it in the browser. So that is what we're seeing here. And I guess, yes, it does let you pick. So all that code there of the different layers shows up here so that I can bring in an OpenStreetMap, which is pretty cool. You see my points here, the Menara Mall, Place de la Jeunesse. Now these things are way off. HAF office is right. Solar panels is right. High Atlas Foundation office is right. So some of these things are right, like the Water Museum and the Hotel Semiramis. And then you can look at Stamen Terrain if it shows up. It doesn't. Stamen doesn't. CartoDB does show up. And then I also have dark matter, CartoDB. And I can go all around the country. Here's up at Mohammed VI Polytechnic. And then, of course, I have my Google satellite so that I can zoom in on those points there. UMP6 Student Center, the university, the Marmara Fruits thing and the train station up there. So it's pretty cool that you can just do this with a Python script that you can drop into Jupyter Notebook. That's neat. And what's happening with R, I don't know. It should have done the same thing, but it seems not to be doing anything. There is another way to do it, and that is to call the Python script once you've saved it, like this, in which case you're using R, and using the R console to install the reticulate package, and then call that package, and then you want to install folium, which does the map, and then plotly, which puts the dots on GeoPandas and contextually, and then you use a virtual environment called reticulate, and then you source the Python script. And that Python script can be any Python script. This one here is called CSV toggle maps that I did. And so if I run this from R, I have to select it all and then run it. And it's supposed to work. Now, if R is still having trouble, as it appears it is, then maybe I need to quit R. And don't save anything in R there. And let's try running R again. Sometimes there are problems that you have when you're booting up a lot of programs like this. So if I wanted to make a new, well, let me try this one again. So this is, yeah, there it goes, it's running. What this one is doing is that it is using R to call, using reticulate package to call this Python script. Now, whether it's going to put something out or not, it's trying to uninstall Plotly. So it's having some issues that are kind of interesting. Nothing's showing up here or here. And yet it's not saying it has a problem, it's just causing problems. And that's fascinating. So it's trying to figure something out. In the meanwhile, while this is sorting itself out, maybe what I need to do is just quit the session. Nope, wait a minute. I don't want to do that because now it's still successfully uninstalling one version. So it's still thinking. All right, that's what's going on there. But let's also talk about the command line, because if you have a Python script, it's the Jupyter Notebook. Let me close the Jupyter Notebook and let me close my interactive map from the Jupyter Notebook. If you have a program on your computer, this Python program that was made for this, like this import CV toggle maps, or let's try something else in here. Let's go into my Python, and I have a bunch of different scripts here. And so let's say I take the last one I modified was calling Morocco Python R, and R imports CSV toggle maps for Python. Let's say I take this one here and I say copy as path. So I have the path, and then I simply go to the command line, and now I have to get it to activate reticulate. And let me see if I can remember how to do that. In fact, I don't remember, so let me, because if I just run it, it's going to use the wrong version of Python, and probably nothing's going to happen. Yeah, it doesn't like that because it needs folium and it doesn't know where that is. But I have this version called reticulate, so say activate reticulate in CMD, and now I'm thinking what I really want to do is I want to open up my own document where I've put all this stuff. Oops, not that one. Not that one. I want to open up this one, and I want to go as far down as I can to R. Give it a second to load, and then let's look at where I put it in R, because this is going to be crucial. and QGIS summary RStudio, thinking about R and mapping with R, and then all these different codes I have that have worked at different times. But if I want to make reticulate work in command line, then what do? I go down here, and a lot of experiments were done to get this to work, but no, it's not there. It's under command line. Shiny. Let's see. CMD and so there it is. This line here is what you need. And this line here goes into the command line. So there's a reticulate script that you need to activate. And then you get reticulate. Now, if I go back into my folder and I pick this Python command and I copy it, well, not copy it, get the path. Then when I come here and I paste the path in, it opens up the map. So that's the simplest way to go about this. It also has the OpenStreetMap, and you can zoom in and out. So that's what you can do, is download this, not this one here, but is the one we were using before. We were using the import CSV toggle maps. So you download that one and make sure that it's in a folder, and you need to know where that folder is. You've downloaded it. Right click on it and go to copy as path. Make sure you've enabled your reticulate if your installation was done properly, so that it says r-reticulate, and then you paste in the path. And then when you paste in that path, it opens up the map. So that's one way to use that. Now, again, I'm still flummoxed as to why, oh, it says interactive map generated and opened in browser. Interesting. Let's close this browser and let's try that again, because that is doing basically the same thing, but with a program. There it goes. And now it's opening up that same browser. So that's the same idea, using that same Python script, running it in R, calling the Python script. So this is serving the same function as the command line reticulate source Python. So you recall here we were running it reticulate, r-reticulate, and then we were giving the path to the Python script directly. In R, we're installing the reticulate package, activating it, making sure that these various packages that it needs are installed as well, using that as a virtual environment, and then saying from Python we want to call that Python script. But what we should be able to do, and this is what's flummoxing, is you shouldn't have to use all of this calling it from R. You should be able to go right to the script itself, which is a Python script, and then just run that Python script. And when you run the Python script, there seems to be some problem here. Error, unexpected symbol. So that confuses me a bit. When we tried to run this one works, okay. This is one before we were using a CSV. All right, so something was just not loaded in R. But in this one, we are using Python directly within the RStudio environment without using R at all. So that is what I wanted to do. And it's importing pandas, and then it's reading Morocco cities, which is another CSV I have. This stuff here, defining the major cities, was if we didn't have this. So if I go and comment this out and I run it, then it runs with just these cities. Tangier, which is here, Casablanca, Marrakesh, Agadir, Meknes, Fes. All that is stuff that's down from here. On the other hand, if I take this and comment it all out by doing Shift-Control-C, if I run it now, of course, nothing's going to happen. And let me close this down and run it again. Oh, it did happen. So why did it happen? Maybe because it's still in, hello, hi. It's still in the mode of the, must be still in the memory. So let me close this again and let me erase this and let's see, define map, center of Morocco. Now it shouldn't have any of this in here, but it may be that I have to start a new session, because you should be able to either define the map by this and then run it, which it does, it works, or you should be able to not use a CSV and just go off of defining the major cities with coordinates. And I guess the only way to check if this is different is if I put in another city here and I say, for example, let's put in Ben Guerir and then define that city using the coordinates and then a comma after there. And then I've got to look up Ben Guerir by going to maps.google, finding Ben Guerir there, and then taking Ben Guerir, maybe taking the center of it, point relay, copying that, coming back into here, pasting that. We know that we want to put this first, and then this, and then we want to get rid of those two, or one of the commas. All right. So if I undefine all of that, Control-Shift-C, oops, how did I do it? Let's see now. So why isn't that undoing it? Let me see if I just take these. Control-Shift-C. No. Oh no, I just lost it. All right, guess I'm gonna have to. Isn't that interesting? All right, so I got to take this out, take this out, take this out, take this out, take this out. And now, all right, now all of the Moroccan cities are defined in there. That is taken out. I don't have to print the head because that is that. And then what happens when I run this? I should have Ben Guerir in here. And there it is. It appears. All right. So you can add from there, whereas I'll show you that this is not the same map, because when I take the cities out like this and Shift Control-C, comment them out, and now uncomment my CSV, and then run that, you will see, oh, that Ben Guerir is still there. All right, so this is stranger than fiction. Shouldn't be happening unless there's some legacy issue. This one is different than this one. Maybe because I had Ben Guerir in Morocco. Let's look at Morocco cities. That's CSV. So let's open and let's see what Moroccan cities looks like. Morocco cities has in it, does not have Ben Guerir. So let's put in something else in here. Let's put in here, let's put in, let's put in, what's the rock called? Gibraltar. And if we put in Gibraltar and we put in a population, I don't know what the population of Gibraltar is. Maybe the population of Gibraltar is 20,000. So just a guess. And then let's go to Google Maps and let's put in Gibraltar. And there it is. And let's go right to St. Michael's Cave and grab that. And let's put in Gibraltar. So we need to get rid of this comma. And put this in here. And then get rid of the comma that's messing it up here. All right. So that still needs in there. There we go. All right, and now save this. Now Gibraltar, technically, if things are working, should show up when we run this because it's pulling out of Morocco cities, which now has Gibraltar in it. If it doesn't, then I won't understand why. Ah, yes it does. Or does it? Wait a minute. No, Gibraltar's not showing up. Okay, something's bizarre here. Add markers from folium city, coordinates and city items. How does one get this to re-initiate? Maybe it needs to be saved. Save that. And then you'd think that it would work. And apparently it isn't, because it certainly isn't bringing in Gibraltar, which it's supposed to do. So I'm confused about that. What I'm going to try to do is see what happens if I go and bring in Gibraltar in my other file here. So if I come in here and I bring in Gibraltar and I bring in the lat and long over here for Gibraltar, and let me go to here and grab those two, come back to Gibraltar there, save this, and then let's see what happens when we bring in, if we bring in the CSV that brings in HAF, and bring this in to our map. We have an untitled map here. I think this is the one, but let me get rid of all of this, and let me paste this in, and now let's see if this brings in what we want to bring in. And yes, it does. So there's Gibraltar right there, and there's File University. It doesn't have Tangier. So somehow this other code got messed up between loading the cities and loading the CSV file. But this one is showing that you can run Python directly from a window, or, as I said, you can run it directly that way, which was this one. And we can say don't save on that. We can say don't save on that. All right. And then we have our calling Python. So we can get rid of that, and then we can just call the same map. So if I come in here and import CDS toggle maps Python. That's pulling from the Python script here, which is called import CSV toggle maps.python. So when I run this in R will handle sourcing the Python script, and then it will do the display. But it seems to me to be much more kludgy. Works, there's Gibraltar, but why would you do that if the R terminal, the RStudio also has a Python terminal and console? See, it has an R one and it has a Python one that shows that. So it really is both. It could be called Python Studio or RStudio because it has the ability to do R scripts and Python scripts, along with SQL scripts and stand files and D3 scripts and RHTML and Shiny and Plumber. I mean, it's got RStudio is such a tremendous program, can do all of those different things. But as I said, you can also just go straight to the command line as long as you can get into your Python shell, and then when you just put that, URL for the Python script in, copy that path. You don't even have to change these backslashes to forward slashes, which is what you'd have to do in R. Just run it right from the command line, and bang, you get your interactive map. So this is a pretty good script that we have here. And we can modify that script to add other things, but other functionality. But the basics are coming out of the HAV, so the CSV of HAF, my HAF CSV file. So I can keep adding and adding to this. My next task is going to be to figure out how to get lines and polygons on, and I've been having problems because I didn't have, I've got polygon Z sometimes, and I've got polygons for others, and I got multi-polygons. So that appears to be an issue that has to be solved before we can successfully do that. I'm going to turn my attention to that next. But I wanted you to know that just this program, import CSV toggle maps, once you've placed the HAF CSV, which you will find in your modules down at, it's this one here, you just have to rename it. Maybe I should rename it for you. I probably should, but will it let me? Just so you don't get confused in there. Let's see if I edit it. Title. Yeah, if I just make it HAF CSV, then you won't have to do that modification. So let me change this to HAF.csv. All right, and when you download this, it's still going to say HAF. Yeah, it's going to say that. So you're going to have to rename this because, well, you know what? Why not? Why don't I do the following? Why don't I get rid of this for you? So let me go to modules. Let me go back here. And let me just delete it. And then I'll upload it again. So, goodbye. So I'm going to confuse you on that. So now let's add a file. And let's pick the file. And that file is going to be in RStudio. This is called HAF.csv. Yeah. All right, there you go. So that's the one that I just modified there, and that's the one that will be called when you also download the import CSV toggle maps. As for this Morocco map Jupiter, I'm not altogether sure why that isn't working properly. Let me check it again. So Morocco map Jupiter, this Python file here, if I right click on it and get copy as path and go into my command line, given that I am in Reticulate, and I paste it, see what it does. Seems to do a whole lot of nada, nothing. And Oh yeah, it did. It did. It just took a while. There it is. So that's what's going to come up. It's going to throw up a little window that looks like this. It just takes some time. And that code is hard-coded. If we look at the actual code there, which is Morocco Map Jupyter, you'll see what it does is it's one that tells us which cities you want to display. So here again, if we wanted to add Gibraltar in here, we would come in and we would say, and this is in the Python script. Yeah. In a minute. You would say Gibraltar, and then you would put a colon, and then you would put your coordinates for Gibraltar, which we know were here, and then come back into the script. And so it's already got a comma in there, so I'm going to throw out that. So we can get rid of that. And we're going to put a comma here. And then if we save this as Morocco Map Jupyter, to be in the right folder, of course. So let me go into Python or RStudio. It can't be saved as a text file. It's got to be all files. And then Morocco Map Jupyter, actually I think is in RStudio. Morocco cities, Morocco map. Somewhere in here it should say Morocco Map Jupyter. Morocco map, Morocco village map. Well, let's just save it as Morocco Map Jupyter, and then we can call that up. But it should be .py. You have to put that in there, and then save it. And then Morocco Jupyter.py in that folder, when we go to the command line, we're going to paste that in. So we're going to find it as type modified. This is not the one that we just did. This is in RStudio. There's Morocco Map Jupyter. That's the one that we just did at 8:02 p.m. Okay, so when you copy this as path and go to the command, and somehow we need to get out of that. Why is that frozen? Shouldn't be. Yeah, we're going to have to close the command and start all over with a command. And then we need to activate. So we'll always have to have this handy for activating. So let me go and activate Reticulate. And then I should be able to take my path. Not open, didn't need to do that. Copy as path, bring it over. And now, let's see when it opens up the window if Gibraltar is found there. This seems to take a bit of time. There it is. Okay, and there's Gibraltar. All right, so that shows that you can just modify the Python script itself, or you can go and you can modify the spreadsheet and call the spreadsheet. I like the idea of using a spreadsheet for everything and using that CSV and calling it and having the Python functions just be the display functions which tell us what the map should look like. And you'll notice there's this map that we just had. You can't do anything with. You can't zoom in or out. You can't click on anything. So it's pretty static. So that Python code isn't very functional as opposed to the other one. And so that is why we want to do everything we can in the spreadsheet. Then we want to use a code like this import CVS code, because CSV code, because then we can change anything just by changing the actual path to a CSV. And we can put any CSV in here, and making sure that the column names are correct, we can then have it do all this fun stuff that we want. I can show you that in the sense that if I now take that Jupyter Morocco map Jupyter one, and I get the path of that, now I can come in and change this path momentarily here. But notice, look, that these are all backslashes now, and that will not work. So you've got to make these into forward slashes in that Python script, same as you would have to do in the R script, same as you would have to do in QGIS. Once you have all those made into forward slashes, now if you save this, and I'm going to actually save this as import toggle maps for Moroccan cities, because I want to keep my other one. So if I save this, and I can't save it in downloads, make sure you're always saving it in the right place. I'll save this in Python. Right. Then when I come in and I find in my Python folder the one that I just made, import Moroccan cities, now I will get copy as path. I will go to my command line.
I think I'll give you a moment.
I've got to activate once again, and I wish I remembered where the activate code was. I'm always going to have to keep that open. There it is. Copy, come to here, activate, and now go and put in just that. Find it. Just this Python. What's weird is it's saved as a text document. That's not good. Hold on. This is not good at all. I've got to rename it, and it can't be a text file. So what I'll do is I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna go back to my notebook, and this one here I'm going to save as, but please make sure you change it from text document to all files. And then if you want to call this, is this the right one even? Let me see, import. All right, here's the import map. And I lost the one that I was trying to save with that other map on it. So let me open this up. Open this with Notepad. No, not that. That's not what I was looking. Let me make sure. What am I doing here? I'm trying to. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Should have been. Yeah, looks like I messed something up here. So I wanted to be in and have Morocco cities, because this Morocco cities, Morocco cities is what I want to put in as my path in my import toggle maps. So is that in the same folder? Let's see, Morocco cities is in RStudio, not, yeah, it is in the, so it's Morocco cities spelled like that. So it's Morocco underscore cities.csv, and I was going to save that as in Python import toggle maps Morocco cities.py, and you've got to make sure that you put all files. And then this can be called through here. So if we go back to here and say import Morocco cities, there it is, get that path, go back to the command and under articulate, put that in, and we got a whole bunch of problems. Okay, that wasn't good. Whereas if I use HAF, better still work. And save this. And let me go again. Try it again. That one does work, but that one is the HAF, not the cities one. So there is, oh, that is because probably, yeah, because here we're calling villages instead of cities. So the problem is that the names are all different. You'd have to have the same naming convention in each spreadsheet. You can't use a different naming convention. So that should be fairly easy to fix. I should be able to go in and where it says city, I should be able to put village. And where it says lat, I need to put it as I have it in the other one, latitude, with a capital L, and then longitude. And I don't think population has any bearing on this whatsoever, but we would then do that, and then I will save this as Morocco cities for HAF type. So that's the HAF type there. And then I'll come into here, and in the actual code now, I'll need to make sure that this says HAF cities or Morocco cities for whatever that is. So if I go into RStudio, okay, so we have the full path here. So we'd have to take this path, cities, no, that's not it, it's this one here now, RStudio, and then we'll go to date modified, and put it here, and it should be Morocco cities for HAF type. So that's the one that's in RStudio, so I just need to get this name. And now put that name in here. That's a .csv. And now, if I save this as for Morocco cities, correct, make sure that it's saved as a Python file.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Now, supposedly, when I take that, not that, wait a second, hold on. Where did I put this?
Maybe can you take a little
Yes, I can when I'm finished. Oh, there it is. So if I take that and I copy the path and come over here, hopefully now it's not going to give me those errors. And in fact, it did not give me those errors. So there they are, all the way up to Gibraltar, coming off of this database now. This one here. So as long as you get the naming conventions right, your Python code can work with any spreadsheet that you have. You just have to always make sure that these names that are in the Python code match up to the ones that you're using in all your spreadsheets. That's it. I hope that that's somewhat helpful.